Recording in progress. That's a bit like, you know what I mean? Right, that you are the first person I'm actually going to be giving like an introduction to. So bear with me. I'm new to the game here, right? And I've been doing a bit of research, but when I texted you, you told me that you're very you're not really out on in the internet as such. So I've done my best.
Really, no.
I've done my best here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Louise Orton on the podcast today. I'm going to read out some of the accolades that this woman has achieved so far in her career before turning professional, who just recently turned pro at the end of 2019. So correct me if I'm wrong here, Louise. 2012 Harrington Box Gold Cup champion, Southern Counties lightweight champion, Development National lightweight champion, 3 Nations lightweight silver medalist, Southern Counties lightweight champion 2016, 2016 Elite National lightweight finalist, 2017 Counties lightweight champion, 2017 Elite National lightweight finalist, 2018 Task Scholar athlete, 2018's Harrington Cup best female boxer, and then the one that me coming up past most is the 2018 one where you beat Kelly Harrington in the semi-final. And then I also watched the fight as well, and someone actually probably recorded it on their Nokia 3310. But that from someone who's doesn't really know much about I only watch like the elites. I'm like a casual boxer. So I have to actually ask Carl, your boyfriend, when I'm texting him, Carl, who the fuck's winning this fight? You know what I mean? I have to watch that there. So I watched that Kelly Harrington fight, and you just boxed a loaf clean after for the whole, was it 4 rounds, 5 rounds, 4 rounds?
I think it was 4 rounds.
4 rounds, yeah. And then you went on to win that in 2018. Then you were voted best boxer of St. Mary's ABC 2019, 2019 Southern Counties lightweight champion, and 2019 national lightweight champion as well. And then I'm assuming you turned pro after that national lightweight championship, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I turned pro in, I think I got my license November 2019.
And you have been literally just waiting to make your pro debut. Am I correct in saying you've been, has it been twice or 3 times it's been cancelled?
Try tripling it.
Is it doing that much?
Yeah. Yeah, I was meant to box in January 2020, and then it got put back to February. Mm-hmm. Then that got changed completely till April, but then COVID hit obviously at the end of March, so all boxing stopped. Mm-hmm. It was then rescheduled, I think, for November. That one then didn't happen. Then it was meant to happen in March of this year. That didn't happen. Then it was put back to April. That didn't happen. Then it was put back to June, beginning of June, then end of June, then 24th of July, then 31st of July, and here we are today.
Jesus. And then you just literally released a new date. I believe a couple of weeks ago on the Instagram. Is it the 4th of October you're going to make your pro debut, or has it been changed again? Because I also
it's the 8th of October.
The 8th of October?
Yeah, 8th.
Yeah, because when I checked your Instagram just the other day, it's like 4th. Then I went on to your management, and I was like, there's no fight on the 4th of October. What's going on?
Yeah, no, it was the 8th of October, yeah.
It's the 8th of October. And have you got an opponent for that yet?
Not confirmed yet. There's a couple that are penciled in, but none are confirmed that I know of.
No. See, before we go into like your boxing career, I want to go back in time till where it actually all began, Louise, because I don't think it's really documented that much. Maybe if you don't want to document it, it's all right. But before the ages of like 13, I believe that you were sort of a tearaway head case before you found some sort of violent sport to participate in, which was kickboxing. Could you like delve into a wee bit of your past prior to starting kickboxing, if you don't mind?
Yeah, that's fine. I experienced. I had a good childhood up until a point when my granddad passed away, and then everything just kind of went wrong, like family issues and a few other things kind of happened that just caused me quite a lot of like emotional distress. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know how to deal with it. And I kind of ended up going down the wrong path, getting into trouble at school, like mixing with the wrong crowds, like getting into trouble with the police and stuff like that. And it got to a point where my mum didn't like really know how to manage it anymore. She didn't know how to deal with it. And her and my dad were separated as well. My dad worked abroad a lot, so he didn't really have much input in terms of like discipline, because he wasn't there. I didn't live there, and he wasn't about, so it was kind of all on my mum. And it got to the point where she kind of considered, like it got that bad that she kind of considered the potential of putting me into care, because she just didn't know how to look after me. But her friend said to her, like, perhaps try and get her involved in something to distract her from everything else that's going on, and to give her something to focus on, because I was quite an angry child, just full of aggression, full of anger all the time. Would kind of lash out, react emotionally all the time. And they said, like, maybe it will be good to give her something to take that aggression out, but in an appropriate way, not just kind of like fighting on the back streets and fighting over the field and whatever else. So I went to kickboxing with my mum's friend, and I loved it. I never looked back since. It gave me the opportunity to let out that pent up aggression and the pent up kind of anger that I felt inside. Like beating the crap out of a bag, there was no better feeling, and it just made me feel so much better.
That's what I've found since I've actually, like, I think not necessarily that I struggle with like pent up aggression, but at times like I do struggle with trying to get like certain emotions out of my body. So, but then see, once I've come off that bag after like a couple of rounds on it, you feel like a completely new person just by punching the fuck clean out of it. Like even like it me with no technique, like I'm just completely just wailing haymaker and the fuck clean out of it. But like see after, I feel like a new man, like straight away, like, whoo, that is like, yeah. But there's not very many people know about this here. See, when I was about at the age of like 12, what was it, about for a second year? 12, 13, 14. And then around that time, I started kickboxing myself. 2 bouts.
Oh, did you?
What's my record?
2 wins.
2 losses. Yeah. Yeah. I think one was on points, and the other one, you mean, man, just hit me with a kick, clean the chin, just knocked me spark clean out. And I was like, nah, this is not for me. fuck this here.
You didn't go back then, no?
Well, I went back to training, but I didn't have anyone. I blame other people. I shouldn't really blame other people. I didn't really have. I grew up with my granny and my granda, so I didn't really have someone there to like push me and keep like just go, Michael, just like push me in the door and just keep going, because then you would never know what I ended up if it had kept going. But I've had 2 fights, 2 losses. I think that's a good record in my opinion. Like,
takes guts to get in there, so that counts.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what it is. The main thing is that I had 2 bouts. You know what I mean? Like some people just go for the training. I just want the fuck it. I'll just go and I'll fight and see what happens. And then they says one of the judges goes, you look like more like a boxer than you do a kickboxer, because I threw like 2 kicks or something the whole time I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we'll go into a wee bit of your where, like, am I right in saying you've whilst doing kickboxing, and then before turning pro, you've did 4 degrees or 4 masters?
No, so I did. I've done 3. So I've done my undergraduate in psychology and criminology, and then I've done my first master's in forensic psychology, and then I've done another master's a couple of years ago in mental health nursing.
Where do you find the time?
I don't know. I really don't know. I look back now and I think I don't know how I studied on top of doing this as well. I really don't. Because
obviously, like, I don't know, how long are your camps? Like, how long do you go through camp before a fight? Like,
they're normally about 8 weeks, 8-week camp.
And you were still doing them camps whilst trying on the side.
Well, as an amateur, you're actually in the gym all the time. You have to be ready to box all the time. Like, I know that sounds difficult, but I mean, you're ticking over in the gym 3 times a week, like all year. So you then pick it up. If you've got like championships coming up that obviously you know about, that's when you start picking up your training, but you're generally ticking over the whole time. So yeah, I don't know how I managed obviously to get in the gym as well as study. But yeah, at the moment, luckily I turned pro after I'd finished studying. So I've not had to fit in any studying whilst I've turned pro. It was more when I was an amateur.
And see, once you've turned when you turned over pro, are you still like? Have you fully dedicated everything into boxing, or are you still a nurse now? Are you still? You're still a nurse?
I'm still working. Yeah, I still work full time at the minute. Still working full time. I train twice or sometimes 3 times a day, depending on what I've got to do. But my day starts at 4:30 in the morning.
It just makes any excuse that people are making when they say like, "Oh, I don't have time to do stuff," completely fucking irrelevant. When like you've done like 3 degrees, and you've just like, and all of them accolades that you won. I think you started them. Did you start your degrees before you started boxing?
No. I'd started my degree when I was boxing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's all been whilst I've boxed.
You've done all that through boxing and whilst, and then still it's fucking hell. Where the fuck do you get the time from?
Don't have a lot of sleep.
Would you ever think? Do you ever like sit there and ponder like where your life would have been if your mother's mate never said, "Louise, come on down to the kickboxing gym and find out like and just try something different and release some energy"? Do you ever sit and think like where you like your trajectory definitely. Of your life would have been by now? No,
definitely. Like I work in a prison at the moment in the mental health team in the prisons, and a lot of the time I do kind of think it could have been me sitting on the other side of that table, like rather than where I'm sitting today. Mm-hmm. It could have been me that was in prison and not going home at the end of every day. Like, so yeah, I do think that was probably the avenue I was going to end up going down.
Mm-hmm. See, recently over the last couple of years, women's boxing has not like it's not. There's only been like who was a Katie Taylor, and I believe your friend, is it Chantel
Cameron? Yeah,
like they're like the two that are like they're like single-handedly bringing women's boxing to like the forefront of like sports now. Do you think like women like where can women's boxing like improve, or what does it need to like reach that height of like high mainstream like fighting?
I think at the moment the main difference is the women aren't getting as much of a look in because they don't generate as much like income with it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the men, well, all of the men are paid probably 4 or 5 times what the women are paid in boxing. Mm-hmm. But when you look at that in terms of the comparison between the two, the men do longer rounds, the females only do 2 minutes, whereas the men do 3 minutes. But also the amount of kind of income that the males generate, that's their justification for kind of being paid more. And I think that's why the females don't get as much attention, because they don't generate as much like income from it. So nowadays people go where the money is, don't they? But it's all about money for a lot of people, especially kind of in the sports industry. And you say sports industry in the sense that it is a sporting activity, but a lot of it is done for financial gain. So fights are organised for the purpose of the amount of money it's going to generate rather than the actual fight that's taking place. Yeah, it's all business in the day, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly it. It is a business. As much as you're actually participating in a sport, it's a business. And that's where I think the difference lies, that the females don't generate as much of that. And secondly, there isn't as many female boxers that are of a kind of a reasonable enough standard to kind of make it that far.
Because it seems to be like the talent, not saying there's no talent in the female boxing, but like the talent pool in regard to like who these like the Katie Taylors and all can fight. There's not very many other fights that she can participate in, really, is there? Because it's not like a really in like a depth. There's not really any depth of field of female boxers at the minute. So there's not.
Exactly that. Yeah, the opposition. I think there's not that kind of level for it. Like you look at, for example, Shannon Courtney and Terry Harper. They've had world title fights within like 8 fights, and most men are still on small hall shows when they're having 8 fights. So you can see that the kind of the challenge out there and the potential for the fights isn't as big. There isn't as many female boxers. So, but I think that will change. At the moment, there's there's a lot more kind of amateurs that are turning pro, and it will grow. The industry will grow, but I think it is going to be a long process. And I think to improve the kind of scope of female boxing, I think they do need to equalise it to the males in terms of the length of rounds that they do. And I think as well it will help with the pay increase. But for the pay increase, obviously the females have still got to generate a decent amount of viewings, because basically that's what it's done on, isn't it? The amount of people that watch it on the TV and bums on seats. Yeah. But I think that's why a lot of females have gone down the avenue of using their bodies and using their kind of looks to get to where they are at the moment, because I'm not obviously going to name any names, but some people couldn't box their way out of a paper bag, but because they've got...
Start calling people, Louise, call people out. Come on, calling people out. Let's get an exclusive.
But because they've got all the good looks and they've got, like, they can kind of walk the walk and talk the talk, they're getting to where they are. But it's kind of like, do you go down that avenue and start selling yourself, or do you let your boxing do talking? So
what
I think
what is the reason why?
I was just going to say,
no, what were you going to say? We'll go say it.
I was just going to say I'd rather keep my clothes on.
Oh yeah, what's the reason why a women's fight is only 2 rounds long and males are 3 minutes? Is that due to, like, is that gender? Is that something to do with gender, or like I don't know? I'm completely oblivious to it. I'm not even being stupid.
Most blokes watching will be saying it's because they're inferior and they don't have the ability to do 3-minute rounds. But no, I honestly don't know why that is the rule. I don't know what basis they've kind of based that on, because in amateurs, females do the same as what men do. Females do 3-minute rounds. So why it's different in professionals, I'm not sure. And I think that is causing a lot of kind of hoo-ha at the moment with discussions saying, why don't females do 3-minute rounds? So I think soon enough that will change. Does
that not have like its pros and cons? Does that not have it like its pros and cons? Obviously, like getting into the later rounds, like round 6s and 7s, you haven't actually boxed for as long as a male boxer, but you're more explosive getting into the rounds. You know what I mean? Because you're not working. Your work rate's not the same. Do you know what I mean? So if they were doing 2 minutes for men, would we not see more knockouts or more?
Definitely,
because that's us casual fans. We just want death. Do you know what I mean? I just want to see people knocked out. Do you know what I mean? As a casual fan, I just want to see someone completely sparked out in the canvas. But that encourage more knockouts and more highlight reels for people if men were to drop down to 2 minutes, or is it just pure? I don't understand it. Why is it?
No, I definitely agree with you, because I mean, if you watch a lot of males. Men boxing, you watch the first minute of a fight, barely anything gets thrown, a few jabs here and there, and it's not until like the second part of that round, like minute 2 and 3, that any work actually gets done. So realistically, I think the females start off a lot faster. They're a lot busier in the rounds because they don't have the time to stand there for a minute just throwing the odd jab.
No, it's like straight away out. Look what I mean? Like, 'cause you have to work straight away. Where you watch some boxing fights, and some boxing fights, you're like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, it's just that a casual fighter. It's actually it's boring. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a casual fight fan, who just watches the big events, and then sometimes watches the undercard. It's just like, fucking hell, just fucking punch someone by now, like, instead of just
exactly that
fucking around.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Where the fuck's my phone? I had another fucking question here, so that. Oh yeah, the GB team.
Yeah,
but I believe that you were were you in the GB team for a period of time, or did you just completely boycott it or just divert it completely?
No, so I wasn't on GB. I was on England, boxed on the England team, but I had assessment for GB after championships. But when I was up there, I didn't really enjoy it. It kind of took the fun out of boxing for me. It was very, I wouldn't say regimented, but I mean, it was very emotionless, if that makes sense. There was no fun in it. Like, whereas when you kind of train at home, there's a lot of banter that goes on in the gym. Like, you train to music. There's just fun, and everyone has a laugh. But up Sheffield, it kind of was very serious. But it needs to be serious, because obviously the level you're going to be competing at. But for me, I didn't enjoy it when it was like that. For me, I can still be dedicated and committed, but have fun at the same time. And I just didn't feel that when I was up there. So yeah, I just kind of decided, you know what, I don't even want to go down this avenue. Like, and as well, it was the home base is in Sheffield, and it starts out that you're there every other week, and it just, to me, like where I was working full time as well, it was quite difficult to fit in, and I would have ended up having to like cut down my hours at work, which at the time I couldn't really afford to do. But yeah, I just didn't enjoy it, if I'm honest. Like, no disrespect to GB, they got a fantastic setup up there, but it just wasn't for me.
I want to dive a wee bit into the boxing politics, because I don't really understand when people tell me, like, when people are saying it's all down to boxing politics. Like, I don't understand what they're trying to, like, know what they're trying to get across to, like, us casual fans.
Yeah.
I don't, like, what does that actually mean? Like, boxing politics, like what when a professional boxer says that, what has to go into my head for me to understand what he's talking about?
So when they're talking about politics, like, for example, what I was saying earlier about people at the moment, like females at the moment that are out there boxing, they could be the worst boxer in the world, but if their face fits, they're going to get signed with the best promoter. And then when you've got someone who can box really well, who maybe isn't as good looking, and they're not getting the same opportunities, it's kind of like, well, why are they not getting the opportunities? And when they're saying about boxing politics, the way they're looking at it's kind of like it's the way that, like, they look at how they look at money, basically. So if it doesn't generate money, they're not interested. So you could be the best boxer in the world, but if you was but ugly, you got no chance. Like, and it goes the same with politics in terms of, like, who you're fighting. There could be someone out there that is better than the person who's world champion at the moment, but they necessarily wouldn't take that fight, one, at the risk of losing it, and two, at the risk if it didn't generate enough money. So it's kind of, in professional boxing, it does seem to be more about, like, financial gain, and it does seem to be more about if your face fits and who you know, rather than how good a boxer you are.
I don't want to put words into your mouth, like, if you don't have to say anything, because obviously it's your career on the line. Do you know what I mean? But do you think that your career so far, since turning over at the end of 2019, has been affected by boxing politics? Because surely you should have boxed by now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because we're over halfway through 2021. Do you know what I mean?
Massively. And that's what's so frustrating about it, because I mean, the people that are out there at my weight that are kind of like world champions, or the weights above, that half of them I've already boxed and beat. And, like, for example, like Kelly Harrington, no disrespect to Kelly Harrington, she's a fantastic boxer. We've boxed twice. She beat me the first time, and the second time I beat her, like, cleanly. And she's just won gold at the Olympics. Like, but for me, I still haven't even had my debut, like, for boxing. So it's kind of like, there's people that are getting signed that have not done half as much as what I've done, but because they know someone and they've got a friend of a friend, it's kind of like they're getting in there. Whereas for me at the moment, it's not going that way. So I've kind of resorted to the fact that it's not going to happen that way for me, and that I just got to let my boxing do the talking. So when I box, I just need to make sure that I'm performing well, and that I'm kind of getting myself known, really.
Yeah, it's just like, because that's a fucking long time. Like, that's, and like, it's ring rust, isn't it? Well, obviously you've been sparring since then. Like, you probably had, like, hard sparring sessions from out there, but it's like getting in to fight an opponent, I believe is a lot different than actually just fighting, than sparring your mate who goes to the gym with you on a regular basis. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
it is massively different, because the main thing that affects that is the adrenaline. Obviously, when you spar, you don't necessarily get that adrenaline. You still get it, but not to the extent that you get when you box. And for me as well, changing over from amateur to pro, you now box without a head guard. So I've not boxed without a head guard yet. So when I do actually box, there's that to kind of contend with, like getting used to that. The fact of kind of like how your hands are wrapped is slightly different. And there's a few different things that kind of all play a part. And kind of the longer I'm waiting for my debut, the longer it is between now and when I last boxed, because I haven't boxed since April 2019. So it's well over 2 years now that I've not boxed for. So I need to get through this process and kind of box again, because it's the same as like when they say you fall off a horse. If you don't get straight back on, you don't ever get back on.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just got to get back in there and just, like you say, get the ring rust out of the way.
I did a wee bit of research. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this here now, but I believe, would I be correct in saying that at some point was it before you turned pro, or I'm not too sure, after you turned pro, you almost quit and give up? Like you almost just sacked it? What was the reason behind that there? Just because of boxing politics again? Like you're just not fucking getting your way, or?
It wasn't kind of. It was a combination, really. Obviously, where I went kickboxing when I was like 12, 13, and I've done it literally ever since. Like, I've not had a break. So I've gone straight from kickboxing to boxing. I'm now 30. So that's a long time to be training, a long time to be pushing your body through everything that you put it through in training camps. And when I won the championships and then won the Harrington and kind of decided to turn pro, when COVID hit and it was all delayed, I wasn't getting any younger. Like I said, I'm 30 now, in a relationship. Like a lot of people at this age are starting to settle down and have kids. And I was kind of put with a situation where it was like, do I hang out for COVID and wait and see how long it takes and then start my boxing career? Or do I just kind of say enough's enough, like, and knock it on the head now? Because although it has all the positives of training that much, it's good for your mental health, it's good for your fitness and stuff. At the same time, the amount of pressure that you put yourself under, especially that I find trying to balance working full time, training full time, it is really draining, like mentally, physically, and sometimes it is difficult to keep that kind of motivation and keep that dedication going. Like. And you think the amount that we have to diet, like a lot of people, when they get to a weekend, they've had a hard week at work, they'll sit and have a glass of wine and a takeaway.
Guilty.
But for me, when I have a busy week at work and a hard week, and it comes to a Friday or a Saturday, I can't just sit there and sink a glass of wine and have a takeaway. I've then got to go out on like a 6-mile run and drink a glass of water. So it's just like you miss out on a lot of things. Like I've lost quite a few friends through it, because when you're in camp, obviously you can't drink, you can't really go out for meals and stuff like that. So then when I was at the age of like 20, 21, all my friends are going out on the piss every weekend and going away for like holidays. And it gets to a point where when you say, no, I can't come, they stop asking you because you don't go. So that's quite difficult as well. But yeah, I found it quite challenging when COVID hit, because I was in a situation where we didn't know how long COVID was going to go on for, didn't know when I was going to box. And then it comes to the point where I think I can't leave it too late, because if I leave it too late, I'm going to be at a point where there's a potential chance I can't have kids because I'm too old. So, and in terms of like professional boxing, really you need to have at least like a 3-year career in boxing to achieve anything that's kind of worth achieving. You've got to commit at least 3 years. And for me now, I'm 30, I'm 31 in March. If I don't box this year, I said to Cole, I need to have a serious think about whether it's worth me pursuing it. But
so let's say in hindsight, everything works out perfect. You box here on the 8th of October. You get the W and you win. When would be the next? When ideally would you like to get back into the ring again? And like, how long do you think it'll take you to like reach a championship fight?
I'd like to get back in the ring the next day, but realistically, once you've boxed, you do need like a week for your body to recover, like your muscles to recover, and even mentally, like. You need that space away from the gym for like a week. So if I box the 8th of October, realistically, I wouldn't be able to box again until sometime in November. And then with the same kind of break again, potentially December, January kind of time. But I'll box as often as I can, but at the same time, I've got to make sure that I'm looking after myself in terms of my health as well. You can't rush it too much because you can end up burning out. And then if I burn out, I'm more prone to injury. I'm more prone to kind of like health issues and stuff. So as long as I'm careful, I could box probably like every other month, maybe.
Fucking hell, that's active. So you would like you get these like big shots who like box once, twice a year, but Louise Orton wants to box fucking every single month.
I'd love to.
As a casual boxer, I'm asking this question because I'm always told to ask questions because if you don't know the answer, someone else out there doesn't know the answer. What is the medical background for like a professional boxer once you've boxed? Like how do they assess if you're actually like physically fit to box again, or like you're not going to cause yourself any damage? Because I've seen people like, I watched a clip on TikTok the other day of Conor Ben. He cracked someone with a leading left hook in his meat. That fucking fella's not going to box again. Holy fuck! He near killed him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like how the fuck? How do you get a like? How does that work? Like how do you look after yourself?
So every year, the British Boxing Board of Control make you have a medical, and that consists of routine blood tests of HIV, Hep A, B, and C. Because obviously, when you're in the ring and you're exchanging blood, you obviously need to make sure you haven't got any of the Heps. And then you have a brain scan. You have to have a brain scan every year, like MRI scan. They obtain your medical records to ensure that you're kind of not undergoing any investigations for any like medical illness. They ask for a history of any mental illness, so they look into that as well. But that's done routinely every year. However, if you box and you sustain like an injury, the board will suspend your license pending medical investigations. So, say for example, like what you were saying about him breaking his jaw, that guy's license would have been suspended, and then the board would have requested for like X-rays, medical reports from like specialists, from consultants, etc. And they wouldn't allow you to box again until the board deemed that you was fit to, and you were basically given permission from the hospital to say that there's no kind of medical issues now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they are very, very strict on that. They are very strict.
They are strict. So it is safe. Well, it's safe that there's certain, you are actually tested for like proper like injuries all the time. Because I'd actually never thought, like, here's me, holy fuck, he only boxed like 3 months ago. What the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, how is that possible? So you actually, you are tested for like concussion and shit like that.
Yeah. So after you've boxed, you always have to see the doctor. The doctor will always see you like ringside as soon as you box. They check like your pupils. They check for kind of concussion. They check for any kind of broken bones and stuff. So yeah, you're always checked as soon as you get out of the ring. Sometimes it's whilst you're still in the ring. So yeah, you're always checked pretty urgently.
Have you never thought about taking the approach of just calling people out, like taking to social media and just being fucking ruthless? Or does that not work?
To be honest, I'm not really that way inclined. I'm kind of, when you see people do that.
But it sells fights, doesn't it? It sells fights, doesn't it?
It does. But when I myself, when I look at people doing it, I just think, oh, what an idiot. Like, what a dickhead do you look? But then at the same time, like you say, it's getting them to where they are. Yeah. So then I have thought maybe I should just take that avenue. Like maybe I should just do that. But I don't know. Maybe I'll have to resort to that.
Because surely if you have the confidence that you can beat any of these other boxers out there, just fucking take the social media and just say, let's fucking have it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know, yeah. People are saying like I need to get Twitter, and I've been told I need to get a Twitter account so that I can start kind of making a bit of noise. And like people say to me that are at the top now, you need to make noise. Yeah. But I kind of think I need to have at least boxed maybe once as a pro before I start kind of getting out of my box. Like,
what's the saying? The squeaky wheel always gets oiled first. I think that's the saying. Do you know what I mean? I think, Louise, you need to start being the squeaky wheel and start just fucking just gobbing off all the time. You could take a leaf out of Carl's book because that's all he ever fucking does is just gob off.
You need a pot or a fucking kettle.
Yeah.
You know I think, is that not an avenue that you could potentially, or probably, or more than likely, you could take, is just start fucking calling people out?
Definitely. It is an avenue I can go down, but I think for me, the person I am and the kind of reputation that I would want for myself, I'd rather have the evidence to back it up. So I said to Carl, when I was actually talking about doing that, I said, let me get like 4 decent fights out of the way, and then I'll start calling people out once I've got a bit of backing for it. Because I mean, if I was in the position that world champions were at the moment, and there was some kind of no bouter who's not had any pro bouts calling me out, I'd think, oh, what an idiot. Like, who does this person think they are? But I mean, I think if the person had like a couple of fights and they boxed decent people and they'd won, I'd then start thinking, oh shit, who's this person coming up? Who's this person that's potentially going to be my opposition at some point? Like, you know what I mean? I'd rather it have some value in it than just some idiot off the street thinking they're like Rocky kind of thing.
But so this fight that you've got in the 8th of October, what sort of statement do you want to leave when you fight here on the 8th of October? Like, what sort of statement do you want to leave for the rest of the female boxing community? Go, holy fuck. What do you want to leave?
Yeah, I just want to kind of show that what's out there at the moment, because there is some amazing female boxers out there at the moment, but there's also some people that aren't so amazing. And I just want to kind of show that there's more to come. Like, what's there at the moment isn't what's like, that's not it. And just to show that kind of I am worthy of where I should be. But yeah, I'm just making a statement.
Can we expect a knockout?
To be honest, I would like a knockout, but not an early knockout, because I think if you're knocking people out in the first, second round, what's the point? What are you achieving from being in the ring for that length of time? Like, for me, I would rather have a tough fight and it go all the way and not knock them out but win, than I would have someone who's really easy and knock them out in the first round. Because I think for me, what statement is that making when you've just knocked out a nobody? Whereas on the opposition, like on the other side of that, if you box someone who's really decent and you have a good fight with them, I think that's got more standing, if that makes sense. Because some people that are stopping people that have had no fights, like, no disrespect to the people that have stopped them, but you could probably pull someone in off the street and they'd beat them. Like, I think it, for me, I would rather have a tough opponent and it go all the way than have someone easy and knock them out, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
it's not all for me. It's not all about knocking them out.
Many rounds is the fight going to be? The 8 rounds?
It's 6 rounds. 6 rounds. This one.
6 2-minute rounds, and you would ideally like it to go the full 6 rounds by just boxing the lugs clean off her the whole 6 rounds.
Yeah, and if it got to the 6th round and it was still like easy and I'd kind of had the opportunity to display my skills, because as well at the same time, if you stop them early, what have you shown? You haven't shown your ability to box in different situations. I'd rather use the opportunity to display to everyone kind of the skills that I've got, and then in the last round, if I knew I could stop her, then stop her once I'd had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I suppose you're actually hanging out for ring time more than anything, really, aren't you? You're hanging out for mileage on the legs and the
opportunity. Yeah, and the opportunity to display that I've got the ability to adjust to situations. Like, kind of, if you stop them in the first round within 30 seconds, all you've shown is that you've got a knockout punch. You've not shown that you can defend or that you can move like certain angles and whatever else. You need the time to do that. So, yeah.
And Josh Warrington's fighting, isn't it tomorrow night, Laura? What's your predictions?
Yes, that is. Well, I think Warrington.
You think Warrington?
Yeah.
Because last I remember watching Josh Warrington, Carl Frampton, and it broke my fucking heart. So it was like,
well, who do you think?
I want Josh Warrington to win, but I'm just saying, when Josh Warrington fought Carl Frampton, it fucking nearly broke my heart. Like, do you know what I mean? The man's a complete fucking warrior. He's got a heart. He's got a heart. Yeah, and that's where I was asking you questions. That's why I was asking you questions about the tests and stuff to make sure you're fine. Like, because Josh Warrington, for example, he's just like, I'm like, how can he just keep absorbing all that like damage and just be fine?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fucking's going on here?
Yeah. That's why you need the time off after for your body to recover. because obviously you do sustain injuries, and that's why you need the time for your body to fully recover from it.
So you expect do you think Josh Wharton will go to distance? You reckon he'll get the knockout?
I reckon it'll go to distance, if I'm honest.
It'll go to full 12 rounds with Josh
I
Wharton
reckon it will.
Unanimous decision at the end of it.
I reckon, yeah.
And then
that's
what's Louise's opinion on this whole cluster fuckery of Tyson Fury anti-Joshua? Like we want to fight. Casual fans, we want Joshua to fight Tyson Fury, and we're not fucking getting it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think a lot of people want that fight, but I don't know what the obstacles are that they keep kind of putting up. But if I'm honest, I think it's being avoided because they know it's a risky fight. And for both people at the moment, they're not at the stages of retirement in their career. So I think the boxing world is kind of aware that whoever loses is going to be quite damaging to their career. And they don't want that because they want to generate income from both of them. So, yeah, I think they're being quite cautious about that fight.
Is that I take it that's down to, I take it that's more boxing politics getting involved again then, because they don't want,
more boxing politics.
They don't want them to fight, but that's the only fucking fight that we want. Like as a casual boxing fan, we want the two arguably of the best fucking heavyweights on the planet right now to fucking fight each other. And it's not fucking happening.
It's the same as Chantel and Katie Taylor. Like most people that know female boxing, that's the fight that everyone wants. They want Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameron, but it's not happening. And there's no reason that it won't happen other than the fact of boxing politics. Like it's a perfect match-made fight.
So they can box now. So Katie Taylor and Chantel can fight now. They can fight each other. There's no like. There's no
reason that they can't box.
There's no there's no reason that they can't box. There's no reason, and they're just not making it due to obviously
just not making it happen.
Just not making it happen in case one of them gets hit, and then the other one. What a shitty.
And I think
what the fuck?
I know.
It's all Eddie Hearn's problem. It's all Eddie Hearn's doing. Like he's just fucking trying to milk him for all the money he's got, all the money that's in him, and he's not giving us what the fuck we want. Like, do you know what I mean? With boxing fans, that's why I'm more prone to watching UFC, because the best fight the best every week. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. The best fight the best, and then in boxing you're waiting fucking years and years and years for the fight to happen. And then when the fight happens, you're like, it should have happened years ago. One's out of its prime, and then the other one's not out of its prime.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And then you have these YouTube crossover fights, and then people are. Do you know what I mean? Like people are, as a casual fan, it's entertainment for us. Do you know what I mean? Like as a professional, probably for yourself and someone who's actually in the profession, it probably annoys you because they're getting more screen time than actual boxers are getting fucking screen time.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean. It's all about money, isn't it? It is all about money. And you look at the boxers that are doing the comebacks, like Mayweather and people like that doing their comebacks. The sole reason that they're doing it is for money. It's not because they want to box again. They're doing it purely for money.
It's purely for money, and then they're going to get it because bums are just going to go straight in the seats, and then we're not getting we're not getting what we want. So we're not. Yeah. I don't know how long we've gone here, but I know you've got training to go to. So I just had a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Louise, thank you very much for your time.
That's all right.
The whole podcast is around one more day, because I want to actually know it makes people just go one more day, because then one more day leads into like years and years of dedication to your craft. What makes Louise Orton go one more day when times are hard?
I think it's visualization. So for me, because I know I've got the ability to kind of be world champion and the ability to beat those that are already world champions, I think visualizing that happening and seeing myself kind of in the ring, wherever it is, whether it's Vegas or wherever kind of the world title fight is held, like just visualizing that happen and going through that emotion. Because when you visualize it, like your mind's a very strong thing, and when you visualize something, you can actually feel the emotion attached to it. So I think visualizing having my hand raised when I've won a world title and kind of seeing everyone there, like my family, like supporting me, and like my friends and everyone kind of as gay as it sounds, like everyone kind of cheering your name kind of thing. I think that's what keeps me going, because I know I've got the ability to do it. If I was kind of looking at the female boxers out there now and think, I've got no chance of beating them, like it's just not going to happen, then I think it would be a bit more difficult. But looking out there and seeing what's there and knowing that I'm just as good, if not better. I think that's what kind of helps me and pushes me forward, because I know I've got the ability to be in the position where they are.
Mm-hmm. That's so. Are you a massive believer in like visualization and like the secret? And like, what the fuck was the book? I read the book behind me, or the secret,
yeah, I've seen the film. The film. Yeah,
you've seen the film. So, are you a massive believer in like visualization and manifesting? Are you? Yeah.
So, for me, like I said, like from my past, like the only thing really that has changed within me, although like exercise and stuff like that, is the way I understand things and the way I perceive situations. So I am quite I'm quite a mental thinker. Like I will look at situations and look at it from I'm trying to think of the word to describe it. Like I would look at it in the aspect of challenging like mentality and looking at mentality, and if you can kind of trick your mind into being positive, then it can make everything positive around you. And if you've read the book of The Secret and you've watched The Secret, like you'll know that is kind of the basis of it. But a lot of it is like based on CBT, and I think where I do that in my job, like cognitive behavioural therapy, I think I've learned myself like how to manipulate behaviours, like your own behaviours, and how to manipulate your mind. So for me, yeah, I do think a lot of it is for me like manipulating how I think, because if my mind wasn't strong, I would have given up by now, because everything that's happened, like with regards to boxing, everything falling through all the time, if I didn't keep that positive mindset and I didn't keep that visualization and keep telling myself that I will get there, then chances are by now I probably would have given up.
But this is all part of like, it's all part of like your book, as a like your own personal book. It's like just it's another chapter of your life that you can go back on and go, remember that there time I was knocked back for this, knocked back for that. Now look at me, like I'm sitting here as champion of the world. You know what I mean? And then
exactly.
That's what it's like. It's just all like minor setbacks, which leads on to the next question. Yeah. As a mental health nurse, and mental health being at the forefront of Great Britain, especially Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is riddled with mental health. I don't know if it's because of the Troubles or not. If someone is suffering badly with mental health problems, what sort of advice and tips could you give them if they're listening to this right now to make themselves feel better?
Yeah, I think really it's the fact, and everyone says the same thing of talk to someone, but sometimes it's not as easy just to talk to someone. But the way I kind of do it is, it's called the Serenity Prayer. I don't know if you ever heard of the Serenity Prayer.
No, never. No.
No. So take a look at the Serenity Prayer. But it's basically about saying that some things in life, like really bad things, happen to people, and sometimes people struggle to kind of deal with those situations because they're focused on the event that's actually happened, and they can't, like, they want to change it, but they can't because it's already happened. Mm-hmm. So I think if people are kind of struggling, the question is to kind of make yourself see it in the sense that nothing's going to get better unless you have the ability to accept what's happened, but also like have the courage to make a change and to do something about it. Because a lot of people struggle and they don't get the help, but a lot of that reason is because they're not accepting that there is a problem. Especially kind of, it happens more in men. Like there's a lot more suicide and stuff in men because men struggle because of this, the kind of bravado of being a man, and these things don't happen to men. Mm-hmm. When in actual fact, they probably happen more to men, but men struggle to seek support because of the stigma attached to it. So things like suicide and stuff like that, the way we kind of say it at work is that it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, because nothing lasts forever and there is always a way out, and there is always an alternative option, and it's just kind of having the ability to believe in yourself that you can get through it, and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. I always say to people when people ask me for advice and stuff like that, I'm always like, try and find, like, take up some sort of exercise and like some sort of, like, I don't know, go for a walk, go for a run, go to the gym. Don't even have to have a program. Just go to the gym, lift some weights, do a treadmill run. I don't know. Or like in your, like, I know boxing has saved a lot of people's lives, like across the board. Not even, like, people don't even have bouts. They just go to boxing training just to like free their mind of whatever demons they've got in their head. Just to like, you know what I mean? Like, would that be like something you could recommend to someone if they're struggling?
Yeah, definitely. So sometimes when people are struggling, they don't want to get up out of bed. They don't want to do any exercise. But I mean, the advice would be just use whatever strength you've got to kind of push yourself to get out. And even if you just go for like a walk for an hour, it's unreal how different you feel at the end of that walk. And it does massive things to improve like the way you're feeling and to change your mindset. And so exercise is a massive savior, and they are actually saying about prescribing exercise. So in the prison we prescribe exercise, like we prescribe gym. So if prisoners are kind of struggling and they're only getting like 3 gym sessions a week, we actually give them a prescription so that they have more gym sessions, and on the prescription is gym. Like it's mad. Are you keeping data on this here? Are you actually finding that it works? Like, is there like it does
that there's actually evidence that like exercising works? Because when I tell people just exercise, they look at me as if they say, "Fuck, are you talking about, Michael?" Like, so it works, doesn't it? It actually works.
It does, yeah, because when you exercise, your body naturally releases endorphins. And for kind of layman terms, endorphins is what makes you feel good. It's what makes you feel happy. And when you exercise, your body releases those chemicals. So it's a scientific proven fact that exercise makes people feel better.
And I'm only asking. I'm saying that there as well because I was out working. We're probably going back now 3 months now. I was up in London, right? And I was coming across the Craigavon Bridge. So if anyone from Northern Ireland's watching, I should know what bridge I'm on about. And I was just driving along. It was a lovely summer's night, evening, like 4:30 in the afternoon. And I was driving along. Here's me. What's that woman doing there? What's she doing? And she just jumped like clean over the bridge. Like that was it.
Wow.
Like straight over the bridge. That was it. And then she hit the water. And then I was trying to like fucking like search around for them, them boys that they got there, but there was none.
Yeah.
There was no boy in the fucking box, and then she got sucked under by the fucking current, and that was it. And I was like, "Fuck me! Like, surely there has to be more done about this than just what these fucking idiots on TV are saying." Like,
yeah, it's mad.
Yeah. Well, that's it. But where can people? On a positive note, we'll finish on a positive note. So you have no opponent yet, but are we allowed?
There's a couple penciled in. But I don't think they've been confirmed yet. I think it depends on finances, what they're going to cost.
Oh, right. So you could, or you don't pick. You're not picking the opponent. I take it, no.
I do have a say in it. But chances are it will generally boil down to money. They'll go with the cheaper one probably, but we'll see.
Where can people follow you on social media? It's just Instagram, isn't it? You on Twitter?
I've got Instagram and Facebook, not Twitter. Carl said he's going to set me one up.
That's right. But I'll leave all your stuff in the description below. You can go and check her out on Instagram. Yeah. And tickets for the events. Are you letting people in? Are you letting people in?
Yeah. There's spectators. So I should get the tickets next week. So if people are interested in coming to support me, then just contact me on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Then just drop us a message and I'll sort it out.
Will it be on TV for us Northern Irish folk?
It's meant to be on Fight Zone. So I don't know. Can I access that in Ireland? It's like an app. It's called Fight Zone TV.
Fight Zone TV. Yep. I'll leave the link for that in the description as well. And before you go, have you any final messages or final comments just in general? Are you going to call anyone out?
We'll save that to the next one.
So would it be safe to say that we could get you back on once you've had your professional debut, when you're like at the peak, like you're buzzing, you've just come off, you've just knocked her clean out?
Definitely. Yeah. I'll be back.
Well, Louise, thank you very much for your time. It's been actually much appreciated. I hope I haven't kept you out long. I don't even know how long it's been.
You're fine.
Thank you very much for coming on. Louise Orton, everyone. Give her a fucking round of applause.
Cheers.